Hello, salam, shalom, namaste, sat sri akal, aloha, hola, ciao, and bonjour. So so happy, everyone. If you're listening, if you didn't catch our last episode, you need to go first catch the last episode because this time we have brought back Omid. We had so much fun last time learning from you, Omid. Yeah, we talked about your system for how you help coaches and other business people to sort of really set up their business in the right way and their marketing structures in the right way and then grow them so that it's fun and it's easy. And it was so really awesome to have you with us last time. That here you are again today, and I'm so excited about that. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. I had so much fun last time as well. I was like, why not the second time? So hopefully this, today's session would be as useful as, last time.
Yes. So last time, we jumped pretty much right into you teaching and sharing about your system, which was really awesome. And we didn't really get to hear much about who you are and how you got into this work. Would you tell us a little bit more about you?
Yeah, sure. So I wasn't a business coach right from the beginning. Wasn't coaching coaches at all from the beginning. I used to actually hate business coaches because I thought the only thing they care about is money and boring numbers, and it's just not something that I wanted to be. So what ended up happening is, long story short, um, one day I received a phone call from a really good friend of mine who just, gave us a call, invited me and a bunch of other friends to a party. Now, we had no idea what was going on. We went to the party, and towards the end, he announced that he's going to become a father, which was amazing. We all cheered on. We congratulated them, hugged them, kissed them. It was amazing. Super happy for him. Um, but he's my best friend. Like if there's something wrong with him, I know. And I've noticed he got more excited about a computer game when he bought it a couple of years ago than when, when he's at a party talking about him becoming father and everything else. So I knew there was something wrong with him. Maybe he was nervous or something else. So I kept, bugging him, hey, dude, what's going on? And he kept trying to, prevent that conversation. I was like, yeah, did you enjoy that drink? Did you, get this food? Let me go grab that thing for you. So I was like, okay, no problem. He doesn't want to talk in front of everybody, so I'll just wait. I waited until the party was over. Everybody left. I kindly asked them if I could kind of stay over before, I go, which, they were nice enough to say yes, of course. And then I was like, dude, I need some fresh air. Can we go for a walk? And he kind of fell for it. He said yes. So we went out, and I was like, I am not going back in until you tell me exactly what's going on, because I know there's something wrong with you. So we kind of started talking in the neighborhood, and he's got the biggest ego. Like, this guy does not like sharing his problems, does not like, telling people what's wrong or asking for help. I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to that, or maybe I'm like that tiny bit as well. And yeah, so it took a while before he kind of, eventually gave up and said, dude, I lost my job. Apparently he lost his job 2 weeks before, that day where he found out that he was going to become a father. And his wife doesn't know, of course. He doesn't want to stress her. She's pregnant. We don't want to kind of, put her on that level of stress. So me being the coach that I am, I try to be optimistic and try to come up with like different solutions right away. I was like, dude, you have this other coaching business thing that you've been trying to do on the side. Maybe this is a sign that you should, start focusing on it more and go all in on that. Maybe it's the right time. And that's where he kind of looked me dead in the eye and said, hey, what coaching business? I don't have any paying clients. I have one free client that sometimes jumps in and sometimes it's not even there. I don't think that's something I can do. I can't risk it. To be honest, at that point, I was like, dude, you're screwed. I didn't say that out loud because I didn't want him to lose kind of his spirit, but inside I was like, there's nothing this guy can do. Like, he's screwed. Then after, about 10 minutes of us talking, us walking silently, it felt like 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was like 10 seconds. I said, hey, I think I'm doing okay in my coaching business. Why don't you just copy what I'm doing over here on my side and maybe you get the same results. Remember, I'm not a business coach at that point. Like I don't know anything about teaching about business or anything like
What
that.
kind of coaching
Um,
were you doing then?
right. Back then, I was working with people in corporations, people in
Uh,
a 9 to 5 job, people that felt like they've been looked over. They're not getting the promotions they deserve. They're not, getting the respect they deserve. So I typically work with those people to kind of, change that environment at work. So yeah, he kind of, hesitated because obviously big ego, doesn't want to ask for help. Was like, you know what? Fine. I don't have anything to lose, so I'll just give it a try. Long story short, about 2 weeks before the baby was born, he had about 100K cash saved up in his bank account with 10 to 15K a month recurring income coming from his coaching business, which was, to be honest, I got to give him the credit for all of those results simply because he worked his backside off. He worked really hard. He had the right motivations. Of course, babies coming in, time is limited. So credit goes to how hard they work. But yeah, that's how I kind of got started. Now, what ended up happening, what kind of pushed me into becoming a business coach is that a lot of his friends who were also trying to become a coach on the side, who were kind of dabbling into coaching, what they saw was that he quit his job and then went all in on the coaching business and became this, this successful coach in such a short period of time. They didn't see all the struggles. They didn't see the fact, he got fired. They saw what they wanted to see. And they kept going to him saying, dude, like, what did you do? What was the secret? How did you kind of quit your job and become a 6-figure coach? And, him being nice, he kept pointing the finger at me saying, go talk to him. That, he's the guy that helped me. Now, again, I am not a business coach at that stage. I'm working with people in corporations. At the same time, I'm getting text messages in Facebook groups, not Facebook groups, messenger groups, where he's connecting me directly to another human being. Obviously, he's my best friend. And if his friends are, kind of like my friends, I don't want to be rude saying no. So I'm kind of working for free, getting paid with chocolates and compliments and coffees and sometimes even dinner if they're really generous for, in exchange of 1 or 2 hours of talking about the coaching business. Eventually it got to a point where the number of people coming in from his side and the other people that I was helping for free, the number of referrals were getting way more than the number of people that I had actually as a paying client that I was working with. At that time, I had an amazing mentor and I went to him. I said, hey, what do you do at this stage? Like, I don't want to, let down the people that paid me because I have, obligation towards them. They paid me to get mentored. But at the same time, I don't want to be rude to these people saying no. What do I do here? And he kind of suggested that I should take 7 days off, go on a holiday. Well, I didn't actually go on holiday. I was just sitting in my room, just thinking. I'll be completely honest. 7 days just taking off, not doing anything with the paying clients, not doing anything with the free clients, just thinking about, okay, who do I want to work with? At the end of the 7 days, I decided to kind of switch my fields and start working with coaches. One for selfish reason, the other one is kind of selfless. Selfishly, it was because it's so much easier. With the people in corporations, I not only had to give them the systems, the tactics, changing the changes in their habits and personalities, but I also had to motivate them to make those changes. Not so easy, especially when you come across those not so motivated, individuals. With coaches, however, I mean, you guys are freaking amazing. You have the right mindset, you have the right motivation, you're hungry, you take action, you implement stuff. All I have to do is show you what to do, how to do it, and then be with you every step of the way as you're doing it. That's all I have to do for you guys to get amazing results. So selfishly, it was easier work for same amount of money, if not more. So that was the first reason that I switched. But the main reason, the thing that really made me switch was the impact that I was making. I mean, me working, with those people in the corporations and then getting promotion, making an extra, I don't know, 10, 20, 30,000 a year, sometimes 100,000 a year, then, okay, that's amazing. That's fantastic. But the only impact that I'm making there is maybe their life improved 10% or 20% or they're happy. That's great. But if I help a coach change their life and start their coaching business and start helping other people, not only I changed that coach's entire life, but also the ripple effect of all the lives they're going to touch, all the people they're going to help. And I was like, hey, if this is something that I'm going to do for the rest of my life, I'd rather have the impact, attached to my work and have some meaning behind it rather than not have any meanings behind it. So that's how I kind of got started. I think that was 5 years ago. that's how I got started working with coaches, helping them kind of, grow their coaching business. And to be honest, it's been the greatest decision I ever made because you guys are freaking amazing. So yeah,
Oh,
that's my story.
thank you. I appreciate that you appreciate us. Awesome. That's amazing. And I truly believe I'm on the same page with you when it comes to why it's so important to help coaches succeed in their business, because every coach that becomes successful in their business, they're impacting so many more lives. And it's actually a big part of my vision too. Like when I think about my life purpose and my life meaning, my heart said, my life purpose, or rather it's not me as an individual, because really I believe that we are all interconnected, interdependent parts of a whole. And so anything that I do, it absolutely has an impact on you, and what you do has an impact on me, and we impact each other. And really my purpose from my heart, honestly, is just I wanted to stop suffering. I'm a survivor of child sexual abuse. I went through this immense trauma in my childhood. I went through decades of suffering because of that. And when I finally got to a place in my life where I was in control of my happiness, my inner peace, I wasn't suffering anymore. All my heart wanted was to just never have to suffer again and not let anyone else suffer, and I realized, oh my gosh, I love that. What a worthy goal that is to live for, to eliminate suffering from the world, from all people's lives. But it's not something that I can do on my own, But if all of us get together and we play our own parts in this, process of making lives better, making the world better in whatever ways we can, then together we can do it. And so I am so with you on this mission of helping other coaches and trainers and healers and people like us who are doing good work for these reasons of, just helping make things better. Yay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing that. I didn't know that about, your story. I really appreciate you being open and sharing that. And I'm pretty sure the world is a better place because, you decided to become a coach. So thank you for being a coach.
Thank you. Thank you. So I have a follow-up question for you. Last time, and actually even I remember the first time that we connected, and I asked you about who you were and to tell me a little more about you, you jumped straight into teaching about, your coaching work and the systems that you have to share with coaches to help them with their businesses and so forth. And one of the reasons you shared with me that you did that is because that for you is how you demonstrate your expertise to people. And that is how you really give value to people. And that's the most important thing. When as a coach, you're trying to connect with other people, they don't really care about you yet so much as a person, but they care about what you could do to help them. And so the way you do that is by focusing on teaching and sharing what you have of value first, rather than sharing your story first. Whereas I know the vast majority of other coaches that I know that I have worked with and who have taught me take the other approach where you start out by first sharing your story and then you move into teaching about whatever you have to teach. So can you share a little bit about why you do things in this different way?
Yeah, of course. So it's the difference between authority and expertise. Authority is about you. Expertise is about the other person. It's about the client. It's about the person that you're trying to help. And the harsh truth is that the only person that cares about your story from the beginning is you and your mom and dad. Beside you and your mother and father, nobody else really cares about what your story is until they know that you care about them. until they know that you can help them. Once you have helped them, once they see that you really care about them, now they're curious. Now they're open to hear your story. Now they actually want to hear your story. You're not this uninvited guest that trying to push your story on everybody and, super excited to talk about you all the time. It's the story of you versus them type of thing. Anytime you want to get somebody's attention, you got to talk about them. If you talk about you, they're already bored. They're already distracted. They already think about something else. So it's the difference between authority and expertise. So the authority is you trying to show you're the best. Is you trying to show that you're better than your competition. It's you trying to show that you have all the testimonials and the success stories, and you're the one that they should work with. It's you trying to prove your status to them. It's you trying to kind of show that you either better than them, whether you want to intentionally do it or not. That's how they see it. Demonstrating your expertise is more like, hey, you have this problem. I potentially have this solution. Here's the solution. It really doesn't matter who you are. It really doesn't matter where you come from. It really doesn't matter what you've done. At the end of the day, they have a problem. There's a potential solution to it. That's what you guys are talking about. Now, if you manage to solve that problem with your solution, well, now you have earned the right to talk about your story. Now they're actually interested to hear your story. So any given time, whenever you're giving a presentation, whenever you're on a podcast like this one, whenever you're teaching to somebody that doesn't know you, to a cold audience, to somebody that never has seen you before, it's always best to think about them first. When you go on stages, most of the times you see, not just coaches, pretty much anybody who's a public speaker, they start with their story first. And you can immediately see the entire crowd is falling asleep. Like nobody really cares about your story because they don't know you. Yes, you're on stage, you're an important type of person, but that's about it. They didn't come all the way to, sit in front of, on stage for 2 or 3 hours just to hear about your story. They're not there for you. They're there for themselves. So anytime you're on stage, teach first. Then in middle of your teaching, where it seems kind of relevant, share a tiny bit about your story. If it doesn't seem relevant, you don't have to. As long as you demonstrate that you have a solution to the problem that's good enough for them to come and ask for help. They don't come and ask for help because you're better than them. They come and ask for help because you have a system or a structure or a solution to a problem that, they're desperately trying to solve. When you go to a doctor, you don't go to a doctor because they have higher status than you. You don't go to a doctor because they're better than you. You don't go to a doctor because they have higher authority than you. You go to a doctor because they have a solution to potential problem that you have. Now, later on, as you're going through doctors, you probably stick with one doctor more than the other one. That's where the connection between you and the doctor comes in. That's where, who do you trust most? Who do you like most? And the trust and the like comes in, with your story, how you've been. So first, it's the expertise. Then it's liking and trusting and the authority and all of those things. So that's why anytime I get a chance to kind of help somebody that doesn't know me, I always solve one of the problems first. Then if they're interested, they can ask for my story. I'm happy to share. But if they don't, that's fine. I'll keep serving them until they don't have any more problems. Hopefully that kind of clarifies it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And actually, one of the reasons why I thought it was really cool that you shared this is because, like I said, actually the vast majority of coaches that I have trained with have this other approach, right? Where they say, okay, when you're building out your presentation or whatever, you share your story first. But last year I started working with a coach who's still actually where I'm working with, a coach and mentor, and he is actually, you might have heard of him. His name is Raymond Aaron. He's a New York Times bestselling author multiple times. He has been coaching, training in this industry before it was even an industry, really. He's been in it for over 30 years or so. So he's probably the most experienced coach that I have ever, or mentor that I have ever worked with. And he has the same perspective that you do, Omid. When I was working with him on developing a presentation, that was the first time when I got introduced to this idea of no, just teach first, share your story later. And I was like really thrown off by that for a while. I was like, but this is going against everything I've learned before. But it actually has been really helpful because, if you have different ideas of, oh, could do things this way, do things that way, then maybe what you can do is try out both and see what works better for you. And I, you know, did try the other way that my coach Raymond Aaron is now teaching me, and that Omid, you are teaching us now. And actually it has been working better for me. So I'm like, yay, I'm very excited about that.
Perfect. There we go. Now you unlock the hidden secrets to winning people over, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh, okay. So that actually brings me to another thing that I would love to talk to you about. And that is this idea of testing, because there's so many different options out there for what you can market, how you can market, when you have, even if you have a specific idea of a program or service that you want to be able to offer, and you put it out there in the world. A lot of times, I know, especially when I was first starting as a coach, trainer, healer, my experience was that I would put something out there in the world in terms of an offer, but I got very bad results or no results in terms of people actually saying yes to what I was offering. And then I felt really discouraged. And I actually, in the beginning, I would just give up on that idea completely and try to come up with something new. And it was really hard to do that. And I'm all about making change fun and easy, right? And making business and marketing more fun and easy. And so I would love to hear more from you about what role testing can play in this process of how we market and what we market and how that can make things more fun and easy for us.
Yeah, for sure. When it comes to testing, there are really two things that you're fundamentally testing. It's your niche and your offer. Those are the core things. Now, what kind of tactics you use to generate leads or how you turn them into paying clients for your conversion, those are tactics. Those are not core things. The core thing is your niche, who you're helping with, and what kind of problems you solve for them, and what your offer is. Now, when it comes to your niche, the only three questions that you need to answer in order for you to have the right niche is, do you like them? Meaning, if you were surrounded by these type of people 24/7 for the rest of your life, would you actually enjoy your life? Would you actually like hanging out around with those people or not? If you do, well, that's one of the requirements kind of done. Well done. Let's move on to the second one. The second thing is, can you actually help them? If this person just came to you, the ideal client, and they told you their ideal problem, would you be able to actually get results for them? If you can, amazing. That's the second one done. If you cannot, then either educate yourself so you get to a stage where you could help them, or move on to somebody else that you can. And the third one, actually one of the most important ones, is that can they pay you? A lot of times you choose a niche that you like and it can help them, but they can never pay you because of the situation they're in. That leads to a lot of frustration because you're going to end up helping a lot of people out of a good heart for free. But then eventually you're going to get to a place where you're like, I kind of had enough because, I have bills to pay too. So that's the first thing you kind of want to focus on, your niche, and seeing, hey, do you like them? Can they pay you? And can you help them? Once you have your niche down, then it comes down to your offer. And sometimes we hit it with the offer, and first time ever you publish something and everybody wants it. And sometimes you create an offer that pretty much nobody wants. There are some signs that you can look for to see if your offer is something that people want or not. Is the first obvious one is that everybody talks about it. Everybody talks about this common problem in Facebook groups, in where you find your ideal clients. Their number one or second or third or fourth question is always around the thing that your offer solves. So that's a pretty good sign that they probably need it. The other really, really good sign is having competitors. for the offer that you have.
Mm.
If you have other competitors solving that particular problem, then you know there's a market for it out there. Because if there wasn't, you wouldn't have any competitors. So a lot of times people shy away from competitors. They're like, oh my God, too many competitions. I need to find something that there's no competition in it. You don't necessarily want to do that, because when you see competition, that's proof that what you have is something that people want and they're willing to pay for it. But when you see absolutely no competition, maybe 1 in a million times, maybe you actually hit jackpot and you found something that nobody else has ever thought about. Or most likely, maybe you're trying to sell something that people would love to listen to, would love to learn about it, but it's not something they're willing to pay for it. We call them soft offers and hard offers. Soft offers are things like, not so tangible things that people can physically kind of understand or see the improvements in. That's a really kind of hard close, meaning it's not so easy to sell it to other people. It's not easy to sell motivation. Like motivation, people want it. People like it. They listen to it, but they're not willing to pay thousands of dollars for motivation. But hard offers are typically around either money or health or relationships or time. If you can help them save more time, that's a hard offer. If you can help them, make more money or save more money, that's a hard offer. If you can help them, get into a relationship, save their relationship, improve their sex life, or whatever, the problem seems to be in their relationship, if you can solve that, that's a hard problem. And health, of course, if they have back pain, if they are skinny, they want to gain muscle, if they're fat, they want to lose the fat, if they're just not fit, they want to become fit, whatever it is related to health, that's a hard offer as well. So it's just, a matter of playing it out with the offer and making sure that you have competitors out there for it. And then you can simply ask, once you know there's a competitors out there for it, and you see that, hey, I would really like to do this thing. I can definitely do it. I'd love to do it with this person. Then all you got to do is find out exactly where that person is. Typically, Facebook groups are a really good place to find it. And all you got to do is ask something like, hey, if I created this thing, would you be interested? Before you actually get started on creating this thing and then asking, just ask first. It doesn't hurt. And a lot of times people say yes, that would be awesome. And sometimes people don't even reply. Well, that's the hint that maybe they're not really as interested in that as you thought they would be. And the other idea around it is that a lot of times people want something, but they need another thing. And as coaches, we fully understand what they need, and we try to give them what they need. But they don't want what they need, they want what they want. So if you give them what they want, but once they're in, you also give them what they need, that would solve your problem. So a lot of times it's just a matter of fully understanding who your market is, what they actually want, and then give them that thing. And while you're giving them what they want, also giving them what they need. It's like, and this is like a really bad example. I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody at all whatsoever, but it kind of demonstrates it perfectly. When you want to give medicine to dogs and they just don't like it, they would not take it. But a lot of times you hide the pill inside peanut butter or something else that they really enjoy, and you give it to them and they swallow it. You gave them what they wanted, and then inside of it, you also included what they need. It's the exact same thing. Again, terrible example, because I'm not trying to call anybody dogs or anything like that. So please don't laugh at me for saying this. But it just demonstrates the point, perfectly, where you give them what they want, but also include what they need. Don't go, show them what they need. Show them what they want. Now, with that being said, a lot of times people are actually on the right track. They're just either overwhelmed because they chose too many, or they don't give it enough time in order for them to, get to the right place. So when it comes to that problem, it's very simple. You need to use what we call something 5 wants. Again, I didn't come up with this, and this is something that I learned. But basically what it looks like is something like this, where the fastest way for you to, become successful as a coach and make a lot of money and make a lot of impact as well is through these 5 wants. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the way it works is that the first thing you need one of. So these are the 5 things that you need one of. If you just have one of these 5 things, it's the fastest way for you to go from 0 all the way to the $1 million mark, 1 million a year. Now, whatever your goal is, it may not be close to $1 million, doesn't matter. But it's the fastest way to get to the $1 million mark. The first thing that you need is for you to have one target market. So I'll write it here. There we go. So if you just have one target market, one specific type of person that you're going to solve the problem for, and you're solving one problem, well, now you're niched. You're like doctors, when they're generalists and they solve all of the problems, they don't get paid as much as the surgeon who is a specialist in like brain surgery or heart surgery or knee surgery or whatever they're doing. The heart surgeon and brain surgeon gets paid a lot more than somebody who, you go to when you have a cold. So when you specifically help one target market, you're that brain surgeon or a heart surgeon that everybody wants to go to. So you want to have one target market only. Once you have your target market, your niche down, you also want to have one product. I've seen so many people trying to have like a low ticket product and then something a tiny bit more expensive and then something a tiny bit more expensive, the Ascension model, where you have like free and then cheap and super cheap and tiny bit expensive and then like super expensive. And when you have so many different programs to run all at the same time, you may even get 2 or 3 clients in each. But just imagine how much your attention is going to be spread thin across all of the programs trying to support people at different levels. So you want to have one program, one signature process that you're famous for, that is guaranteed to get the results for the clients. And it's the only thing that you have to sell, and it's the only thing that you have to focus on. So you want to have one product. Once you have the one product, you also want to have one traffic source. A lot of times, you end up trying 10 different strategies to generate leads, 10 different ways to generate leads. You tried organic, you tried, on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Clubhouse and a bunch of other, new things that are coming out, or like Facebook ads and, partnerships and like JVs and sales letters and webinars and like 10 different ways of getting traffic. See it this way, when you have so many different sources, individual sources of, streams of leads coming in, the smallest problem would prevent that stream to continue. That's like dropping a pebble into the stream. It would stop the stream. But if you put all of your focus into one solid way of getting leads coming in, it's like having a really strong river coming down the mountain. I don't care how many pebbles and stones you throw at the river is not going to stop. So it doesn't matter how many problems you have, the lead flow is going to continue coming. That's why you want to put all of your focus, becoming a master on one traffic source. And now that you have this traffic source coming in, by the way, different levels, we call it different traffic levels and traffic source levels. So it's different for every person. But once you have that nailed down, the other thing that you want to have one of is a conversion mechanism. Again, people try to convert by sell by chat and sell by phone and webinars and, trainings and, send them to a website or a funnel or like 10 different things. It's just hard to manage everything all at the same time, especially when you just start on it, especially when you don't have a team, especially when you're not the best at every single one of those methods because you don't have the time to develop those skills. So you want to pick one conversion method that you're really, really good at and stick with that. It's much, much better to have 80, 90, 95% conversion rate on one particular way of converting rather than having 5 or 10% conversion rate on everything else and combined together. So conversion, have one of it. Now, the last part, this is the key to making all of the first 4 work. And this one is, I'm going to put in different color so it kind of stands out, 100 days. A lot of times you pick your target market, you pick your product, you pick your offer source, you pick your conversion, but you don't give it enough time for you to, number one, learn it, adjust, experiment within it, and enough time for it to show you exactly what kind of results you can get. So no matter what you pick for the first 4, you have to lock it in for minimum of 100 days. If you go 3 months, and let's say 3 months and 10 days, 100 days together, and you had 0 improvement and nothing has changed since you got started, well, obviously you chose wrong. Now it's time to change it. Change the traffic source, change the product, change the conversion, change the target market, whatever it is that you need to change. But a lot of times people realize that the closer they get to the 100 days, the more they improve, the better results they get. And that actually is more fuel and motivation for you to keep going for probably another 100 days. And I promise you, by the end of the second 100 days, you are nowhere close to, where you got started. If you don't have the 100 days kind of lockdown rule at the end, you're going to experience this kind of bunny effect, where you're like a bunny jumping from one strategy to another one, jumping from one product to another one, jumping from one target market to another one, following the shiny object syndrome thing. So it's really important to pick the one for the first 4 and stick with it for 100 days. And if you just stick with it, 99% of the time, it works. So that's all. That's all I have pretty much for this. Hopefully this was useful.
Yeah, I know this is very helpful. And I guess the only follow-up question that's sort of coming to my mind, well, actually, there's more than one question, but the main one I'm thinking of right now is, do you have any advice on, like, when you're trying to narrow down to that one thing at each of the 4 levels? How do you, because again, there's so many choices out there. How do you even begin to narrow down and say, this is the one I'm going to focus on?
Yeah, that's true. So it's very simple. Let me actually share with you every single one of them. When it comes to the target market, that's your niche. For this, your niche is a combination of the who and the what. It's not just, what you do. It's not just who you're working with. It's a combination of the who and the what. So let me actually do this. This is your niche right here in the center. And then you have the who and the what. Now, a lot of times you have multiple different ideas, maybe different niches, different who's, different what's. The best way you can do this is, let's say you kind of have 3 options, 3 niches that you can go with. One question I can ask yourself is, if I could get rid of one of them to save the other 2, which one would it be? Immediately, it would jump out to you and say, you know what? I would sacrifice this thing to save those 2. Those 2 are really important. So immediately we eliminated one of them. Now you have the other 2 that you got to do. For the other 2, it's very simple. You're going to pick a coin or something that can flip. You're going to put it on your thumb, hit it up, it's going to flip, catch it, but don't look at it. While the coin was in the air, your gut feeling was hoping for one of them more than the other one. You were secretly wishing one of them is going to be the heads or tails of, however you thought about it. The one that you secretly, your gut feeling wanted, is the one that you got to go with first. Because a lot of times what the brain fails to notice, your heart, already knows that. So at that point, you just go with your heart. As long as both of those niches, you like them, you can help them, and they can pay you, as long as the conditions are equally the same.
Yeah.
So that's for your target market. And then if this doesn't work after 100 days, you can always switch to the second one.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. The idea is you don't have to marry your niche. You can just date it.
Yeah.
You don't see a stranger on the street and you just marry them straight away. No, you go on a date, you get to know them, and then if it's a good match, then you marry them. It's the same thing. You don't marry a niche right away. Nothing is written in stone. Things can change. So you just date it for 100 days. If you like the dates, you continue. If you don't, you change it up. No hard feelings. So that's target market. When it comes to one product, is simply putting everything that you know about that, one target market that can help them. Target market again. It's not just who you're helping, it's also what you're helping them with. So everything that you know about that what, the specific problem, well, you put that inside one product. Instead of breaking it down into like 10 different products, you just put it inside one product. It might be, instead of having 6 sessions, you may have 12 or 20. That's completely fine. Put inside one product. Now, we are left with traffic source and conversion rate. When it comes to traffic source, it's very simple. If you're making anything less than $10,000 per month, you should stick with organic. You don't have the money for ads. You can't risk spending money on ads. So anything less than 10,000 per month, stick with organic, stick with partnership, those kind of stuff. Anything more than 10,000, it's not that you replace organic with paid. You just add paid ads on top of the organic. You just layer it on top. So that's in terms of your organic source. And when it comes to organic stuff, just choose your platform. The way my clients do it is that they choose number one platform they're going to be focused on, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever they want to focus on. And then they choose 2 side platforms as well. Their entire focus is on this platform right here. That's what they focus on. That's what they create the content for. But whatever they create content for the main platform, they also share it with other platforms.
Right.
Without, focusing on, oh, am I getting engagement on that platform? Are people listening? Is it working or not? It does not matter. Your entire focus is in the first, number one platform that you chose. That's where you got to kind of focus on. Whatever you create for that, you also pass it along on LinkedIn or other places that you want to pass it on to, depending on what the platforms you want to go for. Last but not least is the conversion. When it comes to conversion, it's very simple. You got to decide, do you want to sell by phone, sell by chat, or sell by webinar? It's like, three major ways. Sell by phone is typically for high ticket offers. So if you have an offer that is more than $2,000 or pounds or euros or whatever the currency is, 2,000 roughly. If it's anything more than 2,000, then it's best to close by phone. If it's less than 2,000, then our favorite way is sell by chat. But you can also do it through webinars. That's not a problem. So anything less than 2,000, preferred method, sell by chat, but I can also do it with webinars or combination of both. Anything more than 2,000, do it by phone. You'll have the highest conversion rate. So that's in terms of kind of deciding what's the right method for you. Hopefully this was somewhat useful.
Yeah, that was very helpful actually. Can you describe a little bit more of what selling by chat means or what that looks like? Because I'm not that familiar with that. I know how selling by webinar looks like. I'm familiar with how selling by phone looks like, but I'm not familiar with selling by chat.
Yeah, it's very simple. A lot of times you have a chat conversation with somebody and you try to get them on a phone call. Well, when it comes to the part that you get them on a phone call, instead of getting them on a phone call, you tell them about the details of your program. And you kind of turn them into paying clients without having to jump on a phone call. And the way we like to share it is through a PDF. We call it the PDF close, where you give all of the details to your program through a PDF plus a video walkthrough of the PDF. And they watch the video, they go through the PDF. If they like the details, if it's something that makes sense for them, they buy. And if it doesn't, well, they won't buy. And you don't have to waste any time with, anybody on a phone call. You can do that with like 10 people simultaneously at the same time. And you can get like 3 of them as a paying client. But the flow of your conversations they have within the sell by chat is extremely important, because if the flow is not right, at the end, you can give PDF and a video to everybody. They're not going to become a client. It's the flow that you have. You need to kind of create an experience of the same experience they have on a phone call. You just got to create it over the chat. And you give them a PDF, then they become a client.
Yeah, that makes sense. And now I see how that process can be similar to our sort of in its own way mirror what happens over a webinar. Because you're like having that flow of, information and then presenting all of that in a particular format, and then giving people the option to make their own decision without jumping on a live call with them. That makes sense. Yay.
There we go.
Awesome.
It's the exact same thing. The only difference is that on a webinar, you gotta make sure they show up, they actually watch the training, that they gotta be patient for 45 minutes to 60 minutes, sometimes 2 hours of the webinar to watch, and they need to get to the end of it to actually become a client. With sell by chat, it doesn't take 2 hours; it takes 5 or 10 minutes. But it's the exact same process, just shorter.
Cool. Thank you again for sharing all of that. And I think I'm feeling pretty complete for right now. I know I have more questions, but I think I'm feeling pretty complete for right now. Do you have any last words of wisdom you want to share right now?
Again, not much of a last word type of guy, because I honestly just don't know what to say that would, even come close to, impacting you much. But I would love to give one more giveaway if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Cool. The number one problem that I see most coaches think they have, or the thing that they want, what they really need is something else. But what they really want is just lead generation. If every coach thinks, if I just had more leads, if I just had more paying, potential clients coming to me, I would just get more paying clients, and all of my problems are solved. Now that's true to some extent, and I would love to be able to kind of help that with the lead generation part. So we created a training called the Client Generating Machine. And it just highlights all of the different things you got to do, and then 9 different strategies I can use to generate leads consistently, on pretty much on demand anytime you need it. I would love to give that way to people. All you got to do is just, I'll give you the link. You can put it inside the comments or whatever you want it to be. And people can click it, go watch the training. There's a workbook with it as well. You can download the workbook to watch it. To kind of do the work as you're watching the training, and hopefully by the end of that, everybody in here would have a good idea in terms of, hey, how do I just generate leads whenever I need them?
Awesome. Thank you so much again. That's really generous of you, and I really appreciate it. And we will for sure add those links in the show notes, and we'll add your links also in terms of people being able to connect with you directly so they can really benefit from what you have to share with them and work with you and so on and so forth. So thank you again so much for joining us.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you're getting value out of it. For your information, this episode has been sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Are you a change maker, coach, trainer, or healer? Are chains of fear holding you back from making the impact and income you desire? Using a unique combination of positive psychology and the spiritual wisdom of our most effective change makers, the Happiness 101 program helps you break through your limiting beliefs and manifest the abundance and success you desire with fun and ease. Interested? Book a free Happiness 101 exploration call with me, your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Just use my online calendar link in the show notes.